Just when I thought I couldn't find my way out, yeah, I searched the God in me to find my way out. I know it can seem way out, but the Creator flows to and through me from way out. I'm talking way out, yeah, yeah, yeah. See, if you believe in the God in you, it's a better place. Creating the force and the power to live a better life. Just know that love and joy and peace is one in all of the same space. That you were chosen just like God. Can't mind the energy. Can't mind. God can't mind your energy. That's right. How can myself see? Only you can make the change. How can I share your energy? How can I shine so bright from darkness to light? Hey, hey, hey. From darkness to light. Yeah. And you'll find your way out. Yeah, yeah. Oh, it won't seem way out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The power of God will flow through you from way out.
Welcome. I'm your host, DJ Genesis, and this is Alchemizing Energy. Today, we're going to do a semi-deep dive into the elites and the religion of the elites exposed. So, I was on TikTok. I was on IG. There was a very interesting video that came up, and it really broke down the elites in a really interesting way that I thought that it really piqued my interest and made me like look into more information. Like, okay. So, in the video it said, elites, they don't do anything for fun. They don't do things for fun. You see a bunch of elite people going out to play golf. They're not doing it for fun. They're having business meetings. If you see them having a party, they're not doing it for fun. They're having business meetings, right? So why would elites also engage into other activities if there was not some kind of a gain from it, right? Everything that an elite does is for either power or to gain more power. So why would they dibble and dabble? When you see this whole Epstein rollout, what happened with the Epstein trial and all these elites going to this island, why would they go to an island with alleged children there, with alleged, people that they're doing? When you know that for the most part, elites don't gather for fun, what would be the purpose of whatever activity they're engaging in, whatever it is, if we know that nothing that they do is for fun, that even everything that they do has a meaning and something of a level of power to it, to gain something from it. So we're gonna kind of get into that concept of power versus belief, spirituality, religion, and the religions that are like that, the different religions that probably people don't even understand that the elites are involved in. Baal, Moloch, the Grove, the Owl. We're gonna kind of go a little bit into these concepts and really kind of deep dive into this thing. So before I get into that, I want to kind of play a few things to give you guys some context of what we're going to be covering here. So let's get into it.
The elite human controllers that have been in control for thousands of years, they like their game. It gives them all kinds of money and power. They're not too keen on giving it up. And they're figuring out, how do we manage this one? How do we stay in control when the other penny drops, And that's kind of where we're at right now. If our civilization is constructed in such a way that it's designed to keep people blind, that civilization will fail. That's an artificial control system, and that must fail. So, right? So I think that these controllers are literally willing to watch society fall apart so that they can stay in control. We can't let that happen.
There's always been, who are we? Why are we here? Are we alone? Right? The three fundamental questions, and we're getting very close to answering all three of them.
And they all relate to consciousness.
They all relate to consciousness. Yeah. And I think that's
I think the origin of life and the origin of consciousness are one and the same.
So bottom line is that, the elite have a certain level of knowledge and access to certain levels of knowledge that we don't have access to. And so when you have to question like the motives of a lot of like the things that they do, even when it goes down to like their constant need for power, right? Like I said, when they go to a game, when they go to something, it is not to have fun. If they're going to a baseball game, it is set up to either do business with someone, to find out who's the next, what's going on, and how to get more power, how to remain in power, right? So I'm going to play this video. This is Iggy Azalea. They're at a baseball game, I think, or something, and she's talking to a streamer, and she pretty much gets into that very subject. Let's go.
But let's play this clip real quick. Deef, because again, this was released on February 7th, 2020. So over a month before the pandemic started, which was obviously a world-changing event and all that. And Douglas Rushkoff is talking about some very candid conversations he has had with people who I would describe as very separated from the realities of the average person. Let's run it.
Yeah, I was invited to do what I thought was a talk to like bankers or something at a resort. And instead of me going out on stage to do a talk, they brought these 5 guys into the green room who started peppering me with all these questions about the digital future, like Bitcoin or Ethereum and augmented reality or virtual reality. I figured it was one of these things where it's just these 5 billionaires looking for, investment strategies from someone who's on the ground in the cyber revolution. And eventually they got around to the question of, Alaska or New Zealand. Right? So they wanted to know mainly how to prepare for the inevitable collapse of society. And the question we spent most of the time on was, how do I maintain control of my security force after the event? Because their money's going to be worthless and these guys will turn on them. And it just struck me that here are the wealthiest and most powerful men I've ever encountered, yet they feel utterly powerless to influence the digital future, that the best they can do is prepare for the inevitable collapse and, insulate themselves from the reality that they're creating by earning money in the way they're earning it. And it was sad, but it was indicative of the way these folks are thinking. The high-level billionaires, like the Elon Musks and Jeff Bezos, they want to get off the planet altogether, really just leave us behind. But the mid-level billionaires who can't afford rocket ships, they want to build, bunkers and secret communities and get robot guards and, and to protect themselves from the rest of us. They really think that this is where it's going, or at least they're convinced enough that they're putting in 20-30% of their wealth into these survivalist scenarios, and it's a dark place for us to have gotten. Particularly the people who are building the technological infrastructure.
Yeah, and I think your conclusion to that was.
So this last part we're going to watch of this right here, this is in a nutshell, to me, just encapsulates the complete separation from reality. And I would argue, at the very least, the basic human decency or straight up lack of humanity that some of, and I'm not labeling all people, some of these elites, seemingly the ones that he's talking with, have of all of us. Let's play.
So, I played the wrong video, but I was going to get into the Iggy Azalea, but that was a good precursor into what I'm going to show with Iggy Azalea. This guy goes into an event. He thinks he's giving a speech on one thing, but really they're trying to pick his brain on what's going to happen so that they can protect themselves. Everything is always about self-preservation. It's a very selfish world in that world. And like I said, everything that they do, any gathering that they do, whether it's playing golf, basketball, whatever, there is other things involved. They're not there for fun. So when you have like a thing like a Epstein Island, these people are not going over there to have fun. They were going over there to plan, to organize, okay, so what we going to do next, having these meetings, right? And then there is like this overarching spirit that goes along with it. And that's what we're going to get into, like some of the other things that they do with spirituality to maintain their control. But let's go into the Iggy Azalea video. I thought it was interesting because what they also do is they use influencers and using people that are beneath them to or beneath them, what they feel is beneath them, to kind of stay on track of like, okay, what's going on? And they can't even trust each other in these meetings. Watch this.
This is the truth. The problem is everybody's here on a nice boat, right? And we all dress really nice.
Very nice boat.
We're all equal here, so to speak, right? But in reality, everybody's here really in large part to network. It's true.
I came here to stream.
And I came here to jump up and down and do stupid shit. Okay. But most people are here for networking.
That's true.
My point is, you don't know where you are in the ocean, right? Like, this is the ocean, and you don't know if you're a fucking caviar, fish egg, or if you're like a great white shark.
Yeah.
No one knows who's a shark and who's a minnow.
Okay.
So it's just everyone having these conversations, trying to figure out
who's who.
Can I get richer off you, or can you get richer off me?
It's kind of like fucked up.
Yeah, and so sometimes I'll have a conversation, and then I'll be like, oh, you think you could get something from me? Wrong.
Right. So the whole thing is really about a power play. Every meeting, every gathering that they do, the golf games, the baseball games where they're in the top of the thing, watching down on the baseball game, having these meetings in black tie. All these different things are just meant to just wage and just have a power, like figure out who is more powerful and how can I become more powerful. Then they invite the small guy every once in a while to figure out and how to let that person come in and let them understand what's going on in society because they're completely out of touch. So what they'll do is they'll get like a regular person, like a streamer that's probably not a billionaire, but probably a millionaire. And they'll invite them to this event and let them hobnob with them. But in reality, they're just trying to pick their brains to stay on top of, okay, well, what's the next move? What's the next thing that's going to garner me more power and success and money? How can I leverage who you are to become and maintain and get more power? But where does this all come from? Well, I would say that this is an ancient practice, and it really goes down into a deeper, more esoteric level of like society. It goes into bloodlines. It goes into the worship of Moloch, Baal, and other deities. But before we get into that, let's hear this theory. Well, first I'm going to play a little Alex Jones, and then we're going to get into this other theory that I think is going to really blow your mind. Let's go.
Been on air 22 years. I don't get into aliens, metaphysical, religion, any of that. I've studied the elite, and I've also communicated with a lot of the top people. And if you want to know, I will actually break down right now the best knowledge right now what's happening on the planet.
What's happening?
The elite are all about transcendence and living forever and the secrets of the universe, and they want to know all this. Some are good, some are bad, some are a mix. And we're on this planet, and Einstein's physics showed it, Max Planck's physics showed it, there's at least 12 dimensions. And now that's why all the top scientists and billionaires are coming out saying it's a false hologram. It is artificial. The computers are scanning it and finding tension points where it's artificially projected and gravity's bleeding in to this universe. That's what they call dark matter. So we're like a thought or a dream that's a wisp in some computer program, some God's mind, whatever. They're proving it all. It's all coming out. Now, there's like this sub-transmission zone below the third dimension that's just turned over to the most horrible things is what it resonates to. And it's trying to get up into the third dimension that's just a basic level consciousness to launch into the next levels. And our species is already way up in the fifth, sixth dimension, consciously, our best people. And the elites themselves believe they're racing using human technology to try to take our best minds and build some type of breakaway civilization where they're going to merge with machines, transcend, and break away from the failed species that is man. And so Google was set up 18, 19 years ago. I knew about this before it was declassified. I'm just saying I have good sources. That they wanted to build a giant artificial system. And Google believes that the first artificial intelligence will be a supercomputer based on the neuron activities of the hive mind of humanity with billions of people wired into it with the Internet of Things. And so all of our thoughts go into it, and we're actually building a computer that has real neurons in real time that's also psychically connected to us so that they will have current prediction powers, future prediction powers, a true crystal ball, But the big secret is, once you have a crystal ball and know the future, you can add stimuli beforehand and make decisions that control the future. And so then it's the end of consciousness and free will for individuals, as we know, and a true hive mind consciousness with an AI jacked into everyone, knowing our hopes and dreams, delivering it to us because we were already wired in and absorbed before we knew it by giving over our consciousness to this system by our daily decisions that it was able to manipulate and control into a larger system. There's now a human counterstrike taking place to shut this off before it gets fully into place and to block these systems and cut off the pedophiles and psychic vampires that are control of this AI system before humanity's destroyed.
So,
no, 7 years ago, no one was thinking AI was going to take over civilization.
So you can see why the FBI decided to destroy him, which it did.
So, and what's crazy is in the Netherlands, they actually have these new computers. I think they're called CLI, that is using actual brain cells. I'm not sure where they're getting the brain cells from, but they're using brain cells to actually, because they're able to store more information and data into those brain cells versus using regular chips. And it's like, it's called synthetic biological, synthetic biological something. But let me, I'm trying to find, I didn't get that. I wasn't ready for that. But let me kind of show. Let me just, okay, here it is. Hold on, let me bring this up because I think that this is interesting too, because like I said, they're doing all kind of wild stuff, guys, and we have no idea how far they're willing to take this whole thing, but I just thought all this stuff was
These human brain cells are powering the world's first living biological supercomputer, and it's learning quickly. But the question is, if it achieves consciousness, would it be unethical to pull the plug? The CL1 is a computer with a living motherboard containing 800,000 human brain cells that power it. But why are scientists growing human brains to put into computers to sell? Well, unlike normal computers that have to be taught to solve problems, these human brain cells think and learn for themselves. They'll figure out what to do on their own, like a human. The neurons exist in a simulated world where they send and receive signals. And when it comes to the amount of power it takes to solve complex tasks, the human computer is 2 million times more efficient than your standard supercomputer. In minutes, it's learned to play Pong, stabilize and fly a mini drone, and can pick up pattern recognition far faster than silicone models. They're $35,000 each, but buyers must show lab credentials and ethics approval before they can get one. These human brain cells are powering.
Crazy, huh? When you think about it, right? They're using human brain cells to power computers now. What are we talking about, right? But how deep does this whole rabbit hole go? Because, honey, I went down the rabbit hole, you guys. I went down it. I wish I didn't go down this rabbit hole, but it gets even more crazier. Let's go.
If you think that this is a simulation that we're living in, then you need to see this. So it's a guy on here saying that he cracked the code. He found out that we're living in a 300,000 year long experiment run by advanced civilization. And he believes that each and every one of us here has metadata, and we all have specific things that we're here for. Mind you, after he found out this information, he quit his job. He's giving away his degree, and he's showing you how to figure out your own metadata. You don't believe me, right? Look at this shit.
I am giving away my degree for free. If your name is Daniel William Schmidt, I will personally mail you this. It's an economics degree, one of the best in the world. You can get any job you want.
Get to the point.
I got a job in finance. I quit my job because I realized that we are living in a 300,000 year long experiment run by an advanced civilization, and all of us have metadata. If you take your full name and your date of birth, you can find your metadata. I calculated mine and I started crying because it was just so unbelievably accurate, and I realized that every single person has this, and that means we must be in an experiment. Every person is a different trial, and the civilization running this experiment is using this data to perfect their own society.
He goes on to say that we all have an encoded purpose, and his purpose is to build his own America, and that's exactly what he said he's about to do. I'm gonna leave y'all with this.
So at the top you have God. God created what I call Civilization 1, and then Civilization 1 created the experiment we're in, which is us. So I'm working on a new civilization because I realized that my purpose is to create America 2, because America 1 has served its purpose. So please help me get rid of this degree.
I'm out.
Because this is America 1.
Crazy, huh? Right? but when you go even deeper, right? All this stuff is really based on like a lot of like bloodlines. When we think about the people that's controlling this whole thing, it all is based on specific bloodlines, right? Of people that are trying to control this entire so-called simulation. Let's get into it.
All the way back to the beginning of human history, the people who ruled over us were all from a specific genetic lineage. And this is still true to a large part today. Not just today's monarchs, but also many leaders of nations, including American presidents, can trace their lineage back to this royal bloodline. But what is this bloodline? And why have humans been so obsessed with it? And who exactly does it originate with? They themselves actually tell us. They literally believe to this day that they are the descendants of the old gods from mythology. And because of this divine origin, they are the ones meant to rule over the rest of us. At least that's what they believe. And they won't publicly say this, but it's what their fathers and grandfathers taught them as children. That's why they call themselves the elites, because they believe they're genetically better than the rest of humanity. But it gets deeper than that. Not only do they say they are descended from ancient gods and demigods, but some of these royal families literally believe they are descended from what are depicted in ancient art as serpent beings and dragons. Whether they think this is real or metaphorical is up for debate, but that's what their ancestors say in the historical texts that have survived. This is where that whole reptilian theory comes from. But I don't think these people are really shapeshifters or half reptile or anything like that. But they are descended from what are described as divine and semi-divine beings, who for some reason are depicted as serpents. Let's look into each of these stories and try to find some answers. All right, I usually like to start with what's believed to be the oldest, the Mesopotamian civilizations and the Fertile Crescent. An archaeologist in 1906, deep in the deserts of Iraq, found a list of Sumerian kings written in cuneiform that tells us who ruled all the way back to the beginning. Except that their beginning goes back much, much earlier than our version of the story. Theirs goes back tens of thousands of years to a time when gods ruled. The list starts with the pre-flood era. Before the flood of Utnapishtim, there were 8 kings who ruled over 5 cities, over a period of 241,000 years, each ruling for about 20 to 40,000 years, and descending from the gods themselves, even living alongside them in some of the myths. Later rulers that we know of, like Gilgamesh, were said to be descended from these people as well. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, it says he was 2/3 god and only 1/3 human. And there were a few rulers after him that claimed this as well, but then the power shifted hands and the divine bloodline was lost in Mesopotamia. And later...
Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the channel, Mosi. So what we're talking about is the religion of the elites, that the elites exposed. And we're talking about like how the elites feel like we're in kind of like this simulation that is actually run by a higher being, and they believe that they are, pretty much associated with that being, and that everything that they kind of do is based on maintaining this power, of this bloodline, of the power of these whatever they call themselves. So, and then we're going to get into what they really believe spiritually. Why do they do the things that they do? Why are they doing child sacrifice? Why are they doing these certain things? Because, like I said earlier, they're not just going out to golfing just to golf and enjoy each other. They're everything that they do has a purpose. Whenever they're getting together, elites get together, either they're doing business, they're doing something like really doing business, making deals. So even if they are doing things in a way with the Epstein situation, going on that island, fooling around with kids, there is a deeper reason why they're doing it. And there's a spiritual reason, mainly, I believe, for power. They believe that by sacrificing these children, doing these different things, it helps them to remain in power. And that is based on ancient beliefs that they're holding on to based on a specific bloodline that believed in the same thing. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. What are your thoughts? I can't hear you. You're kind of too far away from the mic. You got to get closer. But so I'm gonna play this while you get your mic together. Right.
Their kings never claimed to be descended from these gods like Gilgamesh did. They would just say their rule was divinely chosen, rather than in their blood. But other civilizations had this same story of divine descent, but they actually claimed to have preserved these genes from the gods. In Egypt, we find a similar story. They too have an ancient kings list, and theirs began with the gods themselves. The god Osiris and his son Horus were the first two pharaohs, and the later kings claim descent from these gods as well.
And see, here's the thing. I think that a lot of time when we hear about gods, right, we think of like God, you know, like the supreme being. But I believe that these gods are not gods. They're actually just probably like, I would say, sentient beings or archaic beings that they feel like they're somehow connected to in some way, and the whole objective is to maintain the status quo, to maintain in power this particular bloodline of people to rule over everybody, and they do everything to maintain that control. What are your thoughts, Mosi?
I don't know, because I don't think that those guys are, because I know King Tut was I think they actually hid the way he looked, King Tut. You know, he was a child, and they told us he didn't live long, but I thought like the whole time he was like he was the odd one out.
Right, like some kind of alien kind of being, like or something, some with green skin, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
so that's why I'm thinking that some of these things are really aliens, and that got in contact with some people. Some people, there's a bloodline. Some people merge with these aliens. I don't know. Maybe they are the aliens, you know, but it's something going on with it. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I'm as much as you guys are learning, I'm learning too. I'm just down this rabbit hole, and I figured I'd just drag y'all along with me into it.
Wow.
So, you know, we got these bloodlines of people that go from Egypt to Mesopotamia and all these different things. And these people really believe that they are from these bloodlines.
I mean, I don't know. I never really got into it. Like, I'm a fan of history, but I never really got into, say, the bloodlines, because Egypt ain't even the same place anymore, right? Egyptology is actually a scam and meant to fucking keep you from really looking in the right places. So you got some people like, oh, I'm Egyptian. I'm like, no, you know, I tell people I rub people the wrong way sometimes. I'm like, no, you're just an Arab.
You know what, to be quite honest, I think it's Indian. I think it really comes from India. I think that they're giving us they're doing the wag the dog with the Egypt, but really all the real stuff is in Egypt, in India. Because if you even look at all the mutations that even happened in India, these people are very ancient people, because that's why they have so much genetic mutation going on.
I mean, well, I mean there's an argument for that, because there's so many super dark fucking Indians, East Indians, or East whatever, East Pakistan.
Well, and if you actually think about who's really behind AI and who's really the programmers of this, it's mainly Indian. All of our technology comes from the people that are programming all this stuff. They're Indian and Asian. So there's something too. I think that they, you know, there's like some kind of a secret thing going on there. People know, but they don't want to admit, you know.
I don't know. No, I don't know. I mean, because like I said, granted, yeah, Indians have melanin in their skin and they have a class system, but I doubt that's where it's at. I always, like I said, I always put it back square in the Caucasians' hands. I always put it square in their hands, because they're always up to something of no good. And then, because because let me see, Pakistan came out of when the British decided to leave India. So that's how Pakistan came about, right? So British pulled out, and I'm like, oh, that's odd that they would pull out. So they probably got enough information or whatever, and then they just went back. So, but I don't know, like I said, because I've heard so many, but then again, I've also heard so many fucking UFO stories. I know Hitler spent a lot of time there. He came up, you know, that's the actual Aryan, and the fucking swastika come out.
Right. Well, the Aryans were around before Hitler. That's what's crazy about it.
Yeah,
That's what we were just talking about that with Mighty Hebrew, but everybody was against what he was saying. But I'm like, there's something to what he's saying, because if you think of like our pharmaceuticals come out of India. I don't know if y'all know that all these pills that y'all taking when you get sick, that's coming out of India.
Oh, so China's not doing it no more?
It's India.
Oh, okay. Okay. Shit,
yeah, that's why a lot of them are. That's another reason why for the birth defects, because a lot of their water is being tainted by the pharmaceutical companies in out there. You know.
India's a mess.
Yeah, it's jacked up.
Fucking mess. So I don't like. Yeah. So when I see that, I don't. But I remember there's that fucking because there was actually an atomic test in India way before the white boy did it. They have certain places they have some low level nuclear fallout in certain parts. Like somebody exploded a fucking nuclear weapon way long time ago.
I'm trying to tell you, I believe that that they did have an advanced civilization at one point, where they were able to use sound and different things to build buildings and to because if you look at certain buildings and how they're structured, there is using like water frequency and sound. It's very interesting. So, you didn't.
I think it's just like no, because I don't think India is not a creation spot. Because remember, even the Egyptians, they come from the south, which is the Sudan. So, I think the Sudan also reached out towards that area too. I think that's why they have so many dark people. And they also remember they have a class system, so they like to keep their dark people hidden. They don't promote that, just like Brazil doesn't promote their African
for
descendants.
Latina, right.
Yeah, they push the whole fair skin, whatever, which how they came to be, which all that African blood. So yeah, India does the same shit. India does the same thing. So
you can see the context of what I'm saying. Let me play this again for anybody that in the back of the room that didn't get to see.
Been on air 22 years. I don't get into aliens, metaphysical, religion, any of that. I've studied the elite, and I've also communicated with a lot of the top people. And if you want to know, I will actually break down right now the best knowledge right now what's happening on the planet.
What's happening?
The elite are all about transcendence and living forever and the secrets of the universe, and they want to know all this. Some are good, some are bad, some are a mix. And we're on this planet, and Einstein's physics showed it, Max Planck's physics showed it all. There's at least 12 dimensions. And now that's why all the top scientists and billionaires are coming out saying it's a false hologram. It is artificial. The computers are scanning it and finding tension points where it's artificially projected and gravity's bleeding in to this universe. That's what they call dark matter. So we're like a thought or a dream that's a wisp in some computer program, some God's mind, whatever. They're proving it all. It's all coming out. Now, there's like this sub-transmission zone below the third dimension that's just turned over to the most horrible things is what it resonates to. And it's trying to get up into the third dimension that's just a basic level consciousness to launch into the next levels. And our species is already way up in the fifth, sixth dimension, consciously our best people. And the elites themselves believe they're racing using human technology to try to take our best minds and build some type of breakaway civilization where they're going to merge with machines, transcend, and break away from the failed species that is man. And so Google was set up 18, 19 years ago. I knew about this before it was declassified. I'm just saying I have good sources. That they wanted to build a giant artificial system. And Google believes that the first artificial intelligence will be a supercomputer based on the neuron activities of the hive mind of humanity with billions of people wired into it with the Internet of Things. And so all of our thoughts go into it, and we're actually building a computer that has real neurons in real time that's also psychically connected to us so that they will have current prediction powers, future prediction powers, a true crystal ball. But the big secret is, once you have a crystal ball and know the future, you can add stimuli beforehand and make decisions that control the future. And so then it's the end of consciousness and free will for individuals, as we know, and a true hive mind consciousness with an AI jacked into everyone, knowing our hopes and dreams, delivering it to us because we were already wired in and absorbed before we knew it by giving over our consciousness to the system by our daily decisions that it was able to manipulate and control into a larger system. There's now a human counterstrike taking place to shut this off before it gets fully into place and to block these systems and cut off the pedophiles and psychic vampires that are control of this AI system before humanity's destroyed.
So,
no, 7 years ago, no one was thinking AI was going to take over civilization.
So you can see why the FBI decided to destroy him, which it did.
You understand what I'm saying? So then we go into this, and which actually proves what he was saying is right. Let's talk about
These human brain cells are powering the world's first living biological supercomputer, and it's learning quickly. But the question is, if it achieves consciousness, would it be unethical to pull the plug? The CL1 is a computer with a living motherboard containing 800,000 human brain cells that power it. But why are scientists growing human brains to put into computers to sell? Well, unlike normal computers that have to be taught to solve problems, these human brain cells think and learn for themselves. They'll figure out what to do on their own, like a human. The neurons exist in a simulated world where they send and receive signals. And when it comes to the amount of power it takes to solve complex tasks, the human computer is 2 million times more efficient than your standard supercomputer. In minutes, it's learned to play Pong, stabilize and fly a mini drone, and can pick up pattern recognition far faster than silicone models. They're $35,000 each, but buyers must show lab credentials and ethics approval before they can get one. These human brain cells are powering the world's first...
So here's the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have this type of this technology going on where they're trying to do this, but you also have neural links. So once they're able to create the chip of this human computer brain thing,
right,
and then put that into somebody's head, now they become superhuman. And that's what the whole objective is, right?
If you think that this is a simulation that we're living in, then you need to see this. So it's a guy on here saying that he cracked the code. He found out that we're living in a 300,000 year long experiment run by advanced civilization. And he believes that each and every one of us here has metadata, and we all have specific things that we're here for. Mind you, after he found out this information, he quit his job. He's giving away his degree, and he's showing you how to figure out your own metadata. You don't believe me, right? Look at this shit.
I am giving away my degree for free. If your name is Daniel William Schmidt, I will personally mail you this. It's an economics degree, one of the best in the world. You can get any job you want.
Get to the point.
I got a job in finance. I quit my job because I realized that we are living in a 300,000 year long experiment run by an advanced civilization, and all of us have metadata. If you take your full name and your date of birth, you can find your metadata. I calculated mine and I started crying because it was just so unbelievably accurate, and I realized that every single person has this, and that means we must be in an experiment. Every person is a different trial, and the civilization running this experiment is using this data to perfect their own society.
He goes on to say that,
of course, he's going to use it for whatever purpose he's going to use it for, but I think that that's crazy, right? That we have our own metadata in our purpose, that we can actually find out what our purpose is based on the metadata that you could look up based on your name.
Yeah, but black people, we already know our purpose. We just choose not to do it. So melanin gives us access to a lot. So when I saw Alex, whatever his name was, and Joe Rogan, those two fucking white supremacists, I was like, I take Alex, whatever his name, I can't think of his fucking last name, but whatever, I take him kind of at a grain of salt when he comes up with shit.
Well, I mean, let me tell you something. What I was showing is that a lot of these elites, what they'll do is that they'll have these events, and the whole objective is to pick people's brains to find out what they think is going on. And so there was this one scientist that went to do a speech on I think it was he just thought he was just going there to do a speech, but come to find out there was something way more diabolical going on.
Let's play this clip real quick, Deep, because again, this was released on February 7th, 2020. So over a month before the pandemic started, which was obviously a world-changing event and all that. And Douglas Rushkoff is talking about some very candid conversations he has had with people who I would describe as very separated from the realities of the average person. Let's run it.
Yeah, I was invited to do what I thought was a talk to like bankers or something at a resort. And instead of me going out on stage to do a talk, they brought these 5 guys into the green room who started peppering me with all these questions about the digital future, like Bitcoin or Ethereum and augmented reality or virtual reality. I figured it was one of these things where it's just these 5 billionaires looking for, investment strategies from someone who's on the ground in the cyber revolution. And eventually they got around to the question of, Alaska or New Zealand. Right, so they wanted to know mainly how to prepare for the inevitable collapse of society. And the question we spent most of the time on was, how do I maintain control of my security force after the event? Because their money's going to be worthless and these guys will turn on them. And it just struck me that here are the wealthiest and most powerful men I've ever encountered, yet they feel utterly powerless to influence the digital future, that the best they can do is prepare for the inevitable collapse and, insulate themselves from the reality that they're creating by earning money in the way they're earning it. And it was sad, but it was indicative of the way these folks are thinking. The high-level billionaires, like the Elon Musks and Jeff Bezos, they want to get off the planet altogether, really just leave us behind. But the mid-level billionaires who can't afford rocket ships, they want to build, bunkers and secret communities and get robot guards and, and to protect themselves from the rest of us. They really think that this is where it's going, or at least they're convinced enough that they're putting in 20-30% of their wealth into these survivalist scenarios, and it's a dark place for us to have gotten. Particularly the people who are building the technological infrastructure.
Yeah, and I think your conclusion to that was.
So this last part we're going to watch of this right here.
Yeah, go ahead.
What?
I thought you said deposit. Oh, the person said deposit on thing, but yeah. So there's this combining of technology, ancient practices, all these type of things, where they are doing everything they can to remain in power, and that's where you get a lot of this. Because I'm about to get into Malak, Baal, and all these different things, but first I had to get into the bloodline of people that believe that they are entitled to this whole entire thing, right? And that these elites believe that there's an elite bloodline, that they are a part of this group of people that are at the top based on their blood, and this is who they are and whatever, from centuries time.
Yeah, Hitler did the same thing because he was on a power trip. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, all those when you get up around these guys, you find out that they're fucking weirdos. That's what you'll find out, because they got all this money and so they come up with some of the craziest ideas, but then they also have to think in terms of, because they know that, okay, the Western world is falling. It's falling, right? Places that were considered third world, or people that those that took advantage of it, it's those places are now on the rise, right? The global South, all that. So it's when you see this, it's just white folks they're fucking scared. But you see, we're not. We're just moving as if it's a normal day. But,
pretty much, right?
Yeah, we're just moving
they're scrumming at the top, but they're trying to do everything to remain in power. But I think that's what that Project Looking Glass showed them, is that in one day that they, and that I think I think Project Looking Glass, they said they tried to all these different things. They all saw the same thing. Now no one knows what they saw.
Yeah, I mean, because see, here's the crazy part. Right now, they're thinking, okay, I'm gonna build a bunker. I'm like, yeah, you could build a bunker. It doesn't matter, but
you're building a tomb. You're building a bunker.
You're building a tomb because there's something that's built into that type of behavior. There's always something that's going to end it. It's okay, they think, okay, now.
Don't you think that these people built bunkers?
Yeah, they did, because remember,
think they did? You don't think that all these Egyptians, all these civilizations, they had their elite that built bunkers too?
No, they weren't bunkers, but these motherfuckers got bunkers because
no, I think they did build bunkers. Listen, they said at the bottom of the Egyptian pyramids there are spirals that go down into a cave system.
yeah, but the pyramids are burial tombs. That's somebody's grave.
No, they're not.
You don't think that's what they are.
No, they're not.
What do you think they are?
No, I don't know what they. Well, some people say that these spirals that go down, they actually go down to Alam's calendar, and it was like some kind of an energy source, like it was like mining or some kind of thing. I don't know, but I don't get me to like it's something connected to the actual Earth's world or whatever. But let me find that whole thing. You didn't see the actual spiral thing. That you know how we used to think the pyramids were just another pyramid underneath. No, they did like some type of satellite imagery, and the pyramids have like these long tubes with spirals going down them. You never seen
that? Let me see. A book you need to read or find is called Everything in This Book is damn it, I used to have it. Somebody took it from me. Everything in this book isn't true, but it's absolutely real, or something like that. But it explains everything about what the pyramids are. Pyramids is basically it's a tomb, but it's also a mystery school because all the priests that worked for the pharaoh or who was ever in charge, there are things underneath it, but it's just so that you like a rites of passage type thing. But I don't, like I said, I've heard about this cereals, but the real thing, you're not even allowed to go in certain parts of the pyramids anymore.
Well, they did some kind of a radar, okay?
Right.
And the radar found underground cities and all type of different stuff. That's what I'm saying, is that this has been people are just repeating what they've already done. You know, and I don't think it worked then. I don't think it's going to work now.
It's after the bombshell 2025 pyramid discoveries, the world just got another groundbreaking discovery from Egypt. New radar scans from only a few weeks ago reveal something utterly impossible, hidden even deeper beneath Giza, that will completely rewrite the history of the pyramids as we know it. Originally, in March 2025, archaeologists uncovered something beneath the Pyramid of Khafra at Giza that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Professor Corrado Malanga and Filippo Biondi revealed radar scans showing spiraling staircases and massive vertical shafts extending over 2,000 feet below Egypt's sands. Structures so precise, so deliberately built that dismissing them as natural formations seemed almost impossible. Despite this, mainstream Egyptologists, led notably by Dr. Zahi Hawass, quickly tried to brush off these revelations, labeling them mere radar anomalies or misunderstandings.
I want you to understand.
He's a fraud.
The theory that you do have is wrong completely. We do not hide anything.
But just weeks ago, something even more astonishing emerged, an underground discovery that you genuinely won't believe. Stick around, because what they found beneath the pyramids could change everything we think we know about ancient Egypt.
So everyone thinks that these things are tombs, and it's like, nope. Why would the person's tomb need to have a staircase going down even deeper? It's like, were these, you know what I'm saying? Did they fake their death and try to like go deeper and like live underneath the cave? What's going on?
Yeah, no, they're tombs because the British Museum has the bodies. Now, like I said, everybody wants to think like, okay, you found a staircase. I'm like, yeah, it's a tomb, but it's like also that's nothing mysterious because that's how the Egyptians rolled. They came up with, and then they want to, like I said, they want to make it seem like it's something more mysterious or otherworldly. Like what's that ancient?
I don't think it's ancient alien. I don't think it's otherworldly. Yeah. I think that
it's not.
I think it's those elites were doing the same thing that these elites are doing right now.
Right. All it is just what
they're building bunkers. That's just an underground bunker because they knew the things going to end, whatever. So they just built a underground bunker underneath there.
Right, but at the same time, it's like okay, the Egyptians were fairly intelligent people, And the whites just don't want to say it because it's like, oh yeah, well, we know they're black, but we can't say that.
Well, it's not about being black. It's about what they were, what was the purpose. So it was black people building underground bunkers, white people, whatever it was.
I don't think they're.
What I'm trying to say is the whole objective is that people do repeating the same history that they repeated again. You know,
right? But I don't think, like I said, I don't think there's anything mysterious about it.
I don't think it's mysterious either. I think that I think that we pretty much know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
they did it before.
I don't think. I don't know. I don't think the Egyptians were into building bunkers. I just don't think they were.
Well, let's see.
Deliberately engineered maze of symmetrical chambers, extensive tunnels, and carefully constructed spaces. The complexity and precision of these hidden structures immediately raised big questions. Who created them? And how could something this significant have remained hidden for thousands of years? Could this underground world have been built by a civilization we know nothing about? Adding another layer of intrigue, a completely separate team of Japanese researchers uncovered another mysterious formation near the Western Cemetery at Giza. Using advanced ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity tomography, they identified a strange, deliberately concealed L-shaped structure, buried just 2 meters below the sand. But that's not all. Beneath this structure lies something even more puzzling, a large, perfectly square cavity located 5 to 10 meters underground. Could this be an ancient portal or entrance to something even deeper and more mysterious? In this video, we're going straight to the heart of these new revelations. We'll unpack Malanga's groundbreaking findings beneath the Khafra Pyramid, the mysterious portal-like structures beneath the Giza graveyard, and explore the real reasons authorities are hesitant about these new pyramid findings. A pattern history shows repeats itself again and again. Past discoveries shows us this isn't the first time established archaeology has been quick to brush off new findings. We're unclear. Were they natural rock formations, or did humans deliberately build them? The radar scans suggested they extended downward, spiraling beneath the plateau. This precise arrangement and unusual shape immediately caught the researchers' attention. It raised key questions about whether these were geological oddities or the product of ancient construction. In addition to the spiral structures, the radar revealed hints of potential water channels or underground tunnels. These water-related anomalies sparked thoughts of advanced ancient engineering, perhaps indicating that people long ago had designed systems to manage groundwater. Although these initial findings were speculative and preliminary, they opened fascinating possibilities about intentional underground building beneath Giza. The possibility of...
Let me tell you something. Okay. Right now, they're talking about that they think that this whole like how AI is siphoning all the water, that they believe that they are taking the water and siphoning it elsewhere, that the AI doesn't really need that fresh water to do that. And that they actually are just using that to like actually redivert the water into underground bunkers for these so-called elite. I don't know how true that is, but when you look at ancient Egypt, you see that these structures had this type of same thing. How do we know that these people are not just trying to do the same thing and mimic the what they already knew what these people were already doing and how they were able to so-called escape calamity and be able to probably come back up at some point? Who knows what? I don't know. But
no, like I said, I don't think the Egyptians were building bunkers to hide from whatever they thought was coming. I just think that Europeans are a strange lot. I know that. Europeans are a strange lot. So, okay, yeah, but you're into computers, if you're going to have a bunch of massive data centers, all those computers with all that processing power, that's a lot of heat. You're going to need to be able to keep that stuff cool. You go to any major company,
it ain't nothing more colder than the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, China put theirs underneath.
So then why would they? Right. Yeah. So instead of them figuring out how to do that, they want to take the fresh water and do that. So something is up with that. I don't care.
Well, but anyway, no, because so the objective. You got to think. I don't see any. You got to think in terms of people with lots of money get bored real easy, and they come up with stupid ideas. That's all they do.
I don't think they come up with stupid because they take the ideas of the regular people because they don't really think. They use other people to think for them.
Right.
That's why they have all these gatherings and getting together with the common folk that actually think, and then okay, great idea. Now let me, what do you think about this? That's what that guy said. He thought he was giving a speech about something, but really they brought him there to pick his brain about what he thought was going to happen with this or that,
Yeah.
Just to see.
Hey, here's a movie you should watch. It's called Society from like 1989. Society. It's like I said, people. I don't see a need to be a billionaire, much less a trillionaire. Right? Like I said, they don't have any. All they have is yes men. They don't have any guys to tell them no. You know how crazy that would be? Somebody didn't tell you the truth or wouldn't tell you no.
Yeah,
you would just be
no. Imagine how crazy it is. The person that did tell them no and how much danger they were in. I don't know.
Like, because people like this do not like being told no.
Exactly.
So like I said, when I hear the word Egyptology and that one Egyptian guy who they always defer to, he's part of the conspiracy because he's like, yeah, Egyptology is a scam. It's designed to keep you from looking at the truth. They keep you looking at stuff that don't really matter. Like, oh, okay, yeah, hieroglyphs on the wall. Yeah, we've seen that, but translate them for us, and then let's dig up the fact that Egypt is built on top of another city. A lot of people don't know that.
Well, that's what they're saying. They're pretty much saying that it's an underground city.
Yeah, but it used to be exposed out into the day. Yeah, you could see it. People lived there. Yeah.
Well, what they're showing is there's a staircase down to it.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, I've actually been to the pyramids, and this was during a time where you could get access to it, and I just don't see it being a bunker. I see it being a tomb, and then maybe
that's the top. I'm not saying that the top of it's the bunker. I'm saying that there is shafts and different area, boom, and then there you get access to that staircase. I'm just
right, but the
actual pyramids aren't the bunker. It's the land underneath it that they've whatever they created to get down into it.
Yeah, but here's what a lot of people don't get about that.
And the top of it, the tomb is the okie doke. I think the tomb.
No. The tomb.
There to throw you off.
No, the tomb is there's a shaft that goes down, and then the tomb is down below the upper pyramid. It's down, yeah, that's where it's at. So them saying that there's a spiral staircase, I think, like I said, I think that is them trying to mislead people again and getting them more interested in the mysterious side of it again. Ooh, look, another mystery. Yeah, when you go to the pyramids, there's a passage. It goes straight down. They're not buried where the pyramid is. That tomb is underneath. It's underneath.
Okay, all right, so let's look at what they said. Let's look a little bit more.
Hidden water systems beneath Giza captured the interest of researchers, as ancient Egyptians were known for sophisticated water management in their constructions. Archaeologists began discussing whether, if proven true, these underground water channels could change our understanding of how the pyramids were built, or what their purpose might have been. When the news broke, prominent Egyptologists and archaeological experts, particularly Dr. Zahi Hawass, quickly responded with skepticism.
That's not true.
It's not true.
No.
So what are you saying, that they're lying? So
they're lying.
Right here.
They're completely lying.
But if they're showing, using these techniques, things that we know that you discovered that absolutely exist, what makes you believe those scientists rather than these guys from Italy?
Because because the scientists are scientists.
Well, these are scientists as well.
They are not all the people work with me. The Scan Pyramid project, they said this is bullshit.
That are saying that they can see kilometers into the ground with this stuff.
That's not true. Are
you sure?
I did.
Do you understand the technology?
No.
Dr. Hawass publicly stated that these spiral structures and possible water channels were probably just natural geological features. He suggested the radar data was possibly exaggerated, advising caution and urging further research before jumping to conclusions about human-made structures beneath the pyramids. Many other mainstream archaeologists echoed Hawas's doubts. They argued that the spiral patterns and radar readings could simply reflect natural rock formations or even errors from the radar equipment. These experts reminded the public that similar radar anomalies in the past had turned out to have natural explanations after detailed studies. However, history shows us that groundbreaking archaeological discoveries often face skepticism before being accepted. For example, when Tutankhamun's tomb was first discovered, or when the Dead Sea Scrolls appeared, mainstream archaeology initially hesitated. Likewise, these radar anomalies beneath Giza faced immediate pushback from traditional archaeologists.
All right. So, I mean, what do you think? Oh, you're showing something? Let's go.
See how there's a subterranean tomb underneath there?
Mm-hmm.
There's a burial site. That's where one of the bodies are, or were. So if they're saying that there's spiral tombs, then how do they're going to have to explain
spiral staircases, like a spiral
right.
staircase.
So if they took ground penetrating radar, how come they didn't see the subterranean tomb is my question. So I think they're just making up some more stuff to mislead more people.
Well,
that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Well, nevertheless, it's very interesting. Like,
I mean, the stuff is like I said. I've been there, so a lot of people, man, that place is crazy. And it used to be white. You know, the pyramids used to be white with a gold top.
Yeah, I heard that, like limestone or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's when they built it, it was white with a gold top. And when you look at it and you see how big each one of those fucking you had to jump. I had to jump up to fucking climb to the next one. This is when they were letting people
climb on top of
climb up there, but they don't let you climb up there anymore. They don't let you climb up there. People sneak up there at nighttime and shit. They actually have troops stationed around it to make sure that people don't climb up that thing. And then they have tours, but they don't let you go to certain places anymore.
Yeah, I think that they've also erased a lot of stuff that was in them as well. You know, I think that guy is part of like a erasure program. That guy.
No, the white. That's what's at the Vatican. The Vatican keeps track of everything coming out of Egypt and Africa that has any type of significance, particularly when you're talking about dimensions and all this other stuff. Because I'm the original the Ethiopian Bible is still, and that's where they think that the Ark is in Ethiopia, next to the original Ethiopian Bible. So the Vatican, they say all that shit. Vatican is where they store all that shit. So yeah, they ain't destroyed it. They would like to destroy it because of the simply because they know that everybody back when they call it ancient before the Arabs sacked it. There's a bunch of black people coming up with stuff and the Greeks and the Romans were superiorly jealous of it. So yeah, all that stuff's in the Vatican. Their vaults, quote unquote.
So I really wanted to get back into this bloodline because that is the part that's the only reason why I brought up this whole bloodline and the whole thing, because when we got into the elites and what they're really trying to do and what they really think. I think that whole aspect of believing that they're a part of an ancient bloodline is one part of it.
The main purpose, remember, of the Brotherhood, which is the elites that control everything, which is a small group of people here on Earth. Okay. The main objective is to keep the masses inactive. You don't want the masses to have control over their ability to create their reality and create their lives. You want to suppress that as much as you can and make the masses docile, make them subservient, make them follow the orders of authority. This is the critical thing that the elites want. And we did this through a series of activities, and it's still being done today, more so than ever before, as part of the long-term master plan. One of which is to get people in a state of confusion and resistance. So if I tell you something that is beyond your intellect, beyond your level of understanding, and beyond what you want to believe, based on your religious philosophy, your religious beliefs, what you've been taught, you will resist.
Why do the negative players, or what many people call the elite, share what they are going to do before they do it? As in, they share their agenda, as a lot of people are starting to find out. Well, the reason why, according to the higher self, is that they understand a key concept. And that is that if you can control the human belief system, then you ultimately control reality. So they understand that humans create their own reality. That concept, they understand this. So, which means that if you control your own belief system, then you ultimately control your own reality.
So that's what I really believe is what's going on, is that since the days of old times, you had this group of people that, you know, were adepts and they were really deep into the knowledge. And then you have the people that also, they were the kings. They also saw sages and different, medicine people that would come to them, and they would tell them what was going on. And then they didn't have necessarily always to have the power of that, but they used the people that actually had that power, which were normally the regular people. Like, wasn't regular, but like they weren't in the elite class. The kings would use like the, your babalawos or your, witches or whatever you would call them, the sages, right? And they would tell them everything, and then the kings would write books as if they wrote this, like King James Demonology. That was written by, that was him interpreting prophecies and things like that by women that were in caves. We did a whole show about the sages, right? And so there's this whole like thirst for like just wanting to be all powerful, all knowing, all seeing, but they get their power from the average person. And that's why I was showing Iggy Azalea at this event, right? They invite the average person to pick their brain. They'll say, hey, you're a rapper, come to this event. And they'll sit there and pick that person's brain. It's the same thing, right? So let's go.
This is the truth. The problem is everybody's here on a nice boat, right? And we all dress really nice.
Very nice boat.
We're all equal here, so to speak, right? But in reality, everybody's here really in large part to network. It's true.
I came here to stream.
And I came here to jump up and down and do stupid shit. Okay. But most people are here for networking.
That's true.
My point is, you don't know where you are in the ocean, right? Like, this is the ocean, and you don't know if you're a fucking caviar, fish egg, or if you're like a great white shark.
Yeah.
No one knows who's a shark and who's a minnow.
Okay.
So it's just everyone having these conversations, trying to figure out
who's who.
Can I get richer off you, or can you get richer off me?
It's kind of like fucked up.
Yeah, and so sometimes I'll have a conversation, and then I'll be like, oh, you think you could get something from me? Wrong.
And that's really what it boils down to, is that I was explaining, like, the rich people, the elite, they don't have golf. They don't go to golf because they enjoy golf. They go to golf because they're doing business. You know what I'm saying? They don't go and party and go get drunk. Elon Musk had a letter to Wines, what's his name? Whatever his name is. What's the name?
Who, Epstein?
Epstein. He wanted to be there because he knew what kind of conversations are being had in that event, right? It's not because he wanted to party.
No, he wanted to go where they were doing that stuff to children. That's where he wanted to go.
Yeah, I know, but all that, even the things that they do to children have a deeper meaning. All this stuff is not just, no, they're not doing all this stuff just for the kicks and giggles. Nothing that they do is kicks and giggles. And that's what I'm trying to explain, Right,
but I mean, I get what you're saying, but that it is kind of shits and giggles when you think about it, because you have another reference, the movie Monsters for Disney, Pixar. Did you ever see that?
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Right.
So
And
they're
they
siphoning. If they feel like that based on their religious belief in Moloch, that if I do this to a child, that I'm going to get more power, and I could siphon energy from this child to be more powerful and could maintain in power, or whatever it is that they feel like they're doing to they're off bad luck or whatever it is. I believe that that's what they're doing.
No, when you scare, I don't know, because all it is that you're scaring children to the point to where their adrenaline is pumping, and then you're trying to get the adrenochrome out of that adrenaline, out of their blood. That's what that's about. And
I think that's the surface part of it.
No, that's it. That's how they were staying. That's how most of them were staying young, by drinking children's blood after they scared them. And then they killed them and drained their blood out. That's what that was for. They drink it. That's why they say right now Ellen DeGeneres is going blind, because she's not either getting it anymore or it made her sick. So she's going blind. So they do these the spirit cookings. You ever seen that?
Yeah, I've seen that where it's like
yeah, but it's like they're eating black people, basically. Nobody else matters.
But they were eating black people in the slavery times too.
Yeah, because they were trying to get what they thought our mojo is.
Exactly. There we go. So that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Is that everything that's happening with these elites, it has something to do with some type of a deeper belief
everything system. I'll tell people this. And I had an argument with a white guy because I troll people on YouTube sometimes. I was like, man, everything's about race in white world. Everything is. So whether y'all are scaring little children or trying to get adults so you can spirit cook them and all this other shit, it all boils down to that. So like I said, they're strange. That's, like I said, I wouldn't want to hang around billionaires and all that shit all day.
Hell no, heck no.
It'd be a bunch of weird shit. That's what it would be.
Let's hear. So let's jump into this. Let's go.
Upon some topics which will sound familiar if you've been mentions the god Baal and seems to make a connection between Epstein and Baal. More on that in a moment, but it's brought attention to Baal. So I wanted to present some information in this video on the god Baal, where Baal comes from, what the cult of Baal practiced, but also just addressing some of the conflations and misconceptions about this topic, because it can get quite sensationalistic and people can be too quick to so let's begin with the context in which this whole Baal question has come up again recently, by looking at the supposed document in the Epstein files that says that there is a bank account that was owned by Epstein, which was called Baal. Did he have such an account? The short answer is no. If you look at the document itself, what it actually seems to be doing is describing a wire transfer that happened, and the bit before the name of the account says Baal.name, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. But the most likely explanation that I have seen for this is that there was some other document or raw bit of data that got fed into a machine, some kind of text conversion software, and then there was something wrong with the word bank, which led the software to interpret that word instead as Baal. And so that's how it appears on the document. That's what the mainstream media has been reporting. For example, the very reliable Yahoo News, and of course the mainstream media is very reliable at the best of times and doesn't tell us lies about anything ever. But anyway, that's the story from that news outlet, and it kind of leaves it there. That's it. It's just a coincidence. End of story. There is no association between Baal and Epstein. But I just can't shake the feeling that this is more than just a coincidence, given that what we've learned about what Epstein and his associates were doing with other human beings, particularly with children, and how ritualistic it was, and how closely some of that tracks with what the ancient cult of Baal was doing. It's very interesting that the word Baal just shows up in one of these documents. And as somebody who believes in the supernatural and believes in spirits and their influence over our world, I can't help but wonder if there is something behind the word Baal appearing in this document.
So, what do you think about that whole aspect of the people in Baal and the whole elites and occults references into those whole things?
I mean, it's just like they demon. I don't know, these people demonize everything. They demonize anything black. Anyway, because it goes back to like how they treated Baphomet.
So you think that Baal is not a evil deity itself?
And I don't necessarily believe in good and evil. I believe in high and low.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Like, yeah, either your energy you're either high functioning or you're low functioning, like low vibrational, high vibrational. That's it. I've never believed in good and evil. That's some shit.
Subjective, right?
Yeah, that's shit that Hollywood made up. Like, either you're on the low end or you're on the high end, which, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes you can be in the middle and be balanced or whatever. But I don't do saying Baal. And then I remember because what was a favorite of them is the 3 6s. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's melanated carbon, which is melanin. So, okay, so y'all just demonized a whole group of people and told everybody who believes in God and the Jesus and the Holy Trinity and all that bullshit. You just said that, yeah, well, everybody born with black skin is the work of the devil. Yeah, that's something that they prodded out there. So now they haven't changed their tune just because they dressed it up differently. Nothing changes. It's still the same thing. So, and nobody wants to listen to these people anymore. So of course you see why they're building bunkers, because they know that at some point people are going to snap and say, hey, we need to be focused on them. That's it.
That's pretty much what was being said.
But we might ask ourselves, is this all just ancient propaganda? Did the writers of the Old Testament make up nasty stories about other gods from other peoples as a kind of propaganda tool to push for the worship of their one God? This is an argument that has been put forward by certain modern historians. But in modern times, there have also been archaeological finds that support the biblical account of Baal worship, or at least seem to. So there was another civilization in ancient times, which came after ancient Israel, during the period of Elijah. It was known as the Punic civilization, otherwise known as the Carthaginians. This was a civilization which was established by settlers from Phoenicia, the very same Phoenicia that Queen Jezebel came from. And these settlers traveled to North Africa and they created a colony there. And then this became the civilization of Carthage. And then they eventually made their way into like Spain and stuff like that. So they were like an ancient empire. And at one point, they were serious contenders for domination of the Mediterranean region. This led to the Punic Wars between Rome and Carthage. And this is where we get the famous story about the general Hannibal Barca crossing the Alps into Italy with his army, mounted on the back of elephants. Very famous story. Hannibal was possibly the greatest military genius in history, and he almost defeated Rome in the Punic Wars. However, in the end, Rome came out on top, won the day, and then they completely annihilated the city of Carthage. And of course, the rest is history. Quite literally, Rome became the dominant power in the Mediterranean and defined the course of Western civilization for centuries to come. But that's a big digression. Now, what does this civilization of Carthage have to do with Baal? Well, the answer to that is that the Carthaginians worshipped a god called Baal Hamon. And this deity of Baal Hamon appears to be, or at least likely, based off of the Baal that was worshipped by the Phoenicians, which were the parent culture of the Carthaginians. And the very same Baal that's mentioned in the Bible, the very same Baal that was worshipped by the Phoenician queen Jezebel. And we have a bit of information on the cult of Baal Hamon. Ancient authors describe a Carthaginian practice of the people sacrificing their children to Baal Hamon. And then this ancient story was seemingly confirmed in the 1920s, by archaeological discoveries around a sacrificial site of urns containing the cremated remains of children. At least some of these were sacrificial, if not all of them. So the gruesome details were confirmed with evidence. So all of this means that Baal is a pagan god with a particularly sinister reputation because of the sacrifices that were made to him. So sinister, in fact, that Baal later came to be regarded as a demon in Jewish and Christian belief. It was quite literally demonized. So I want to turn to medieval demonology, first of all, European medieval demonology. We first see a mention of a demon called Baal in Colin de Plancy's Dictionnaire Infernal. He then later appears in the Goetia, also under the name Baal. And this Baal was often considered by medieval demonologists to be one and the same with the pagan god Baal that is mentioned in the Bible.
He just said it. Yeah, he just said it.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Do you see the picture that was behind him? While he was doing this, the picture. See this picture?
What picture?
This picture behind him. It's like a picture of like I guess it's the Shroud of Turin. See this right here?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think there's just something sitting there.
So as he's talking, look, watch.
The story was seemingly confirmed in the 1920s, by archaeological discoveries around a sacrificial site of urns containing the cremated remains of children. At least some of these were sacrificial, if not all of them. So the gruesome details were confirmed with evidence. So all of this means that Baal is a pagan god with a particularly sinister reputation because of the sacrifices that were made to him. So sinister, in fact, that Baal later came to be regarded as a demon in Jewish and Christian belief. It was quite literally demonized. So I want to turn to medieval demonology, first of all, European medieval demonology. We first see a mention of a demon called Baal.
Did the picture change? Did he change the picture?
No, you were probably looking at it too long. Your eyes just
No, the picture looks different. Right here, it's like this, and right here it looks like an old man. He changed that. He had to change that picture. What the hell's going on with this?
Probably one of those little things that switch.
He said he realized his had moved on its own or whatever. I don't know. Anyway.
Did that on purpose.
But this Christian demon was running around graveyards at night.
That's weird. I was like,
it
ain't even in the same spot. Like, what the hell?
And this is
now we're getting all spooky.
Nah.
Spookology. Anyways, so let's get into. I want to get into what the Jews are saying about Moloch. Okay, because they're talking about the child sacrifice in ancient Israel. So let's go.
So we have all heard of Molech, the horrible deity to whom babies were sacrificed, right? I hear about this actually an awful lot when I discuss just Old Testament issues in general. Everybody talks about, the great statue that was heated up and babies were, melting on it and the drums were played loudly and all this stuff. Okay. Was this the historical reality, in your opinion? And where does this idea come from?
Yeah, so the idea of a god named Molech, without going too much into Hebrew grammar, comes from the way the Hebrew preposition la, which means two or four. It can mean a lot of things, just like prepositions in English can mean a lot of things. I go to the store with my wife. I hit the nail with a hammer. Those are two very different widths. So la, Hebrew la, can do a lot of things. One of the things it can do is mean two. So it says, talks about in the Bible, passing over a child, sometimes in fire, la Molech.
To Moloch.
Historically, people have understood as to Molech, and Molech must be some being to which children are passed over by fire, which must be sacrificed to a deity, which is a perfectly reasonable way to understand the Hebrew. Almost a century ago now, a German biblical scholar named Otto Eisfeld, who's actually still worth reading. He's a really smart guy. He wrote a little tiny book, under 100 pages, I believe. The German title could be roughly translated Molech in Phoenician and in the Hebrew Bible, the end of the god Molech. And at this time, there were excavations going on in the North African Punic, and Punic just means Phoenicians that don't live in Phoenicia. They went out into the Mediterranean, they set up colonies, and then all of a sudden they became Punic because of Greek and Latin. Anyway, they're excavating Carthage where these Punic colonists are living, and they're finding inscriptions, and the inscriptions seem to be talking about child sacrifice, and they call the sacrifice a mulk. It's a mulk sacrifice. It's the name of a sacrifice. And at the time, Eisfeld only had a handful of these inscriptions. Since then, we have quite a few more. And Eisfeld said, wait a second, mulk, child sacrifice. In the Hebrew Bible, we also have mulk. Another one of the things the preposition la in Hebrew can do is to mean as. So if you sacrifice a cow, you can sacrifice it la olah, as a burnt offering, a whole offering, Holocaust time. And he said, we shouldn't be reading this, that children are passed over by fire, la to a god Molech, but la as a Molech sacrifice. He went further and said, well, if they're sacrificing them as Molech sacrifices, then, okay, who's the god that's getting them? And Eisfeld said, well, as far as we can tell, by far the most popular deity in ancient Israel was Yahweh. These sacrifices are said to have taken place in the Hinnom Valley, which would have been in not quite spitting distance, but definitely eyeshot of the Jerusalem temple, where Yahweh's shrine was. So Eisfeld said, no, they're not sacrificed to a god Molech, but they were being sacrificed as Molech offerings to Yahweh. To be clear, the Hebrew...
Okay. Well, that gets interesting.
That's an old story. Moloch was a fallen angel. So, yeah, he's a fallen angel. And then Moloch means king, just like Baal means Lord or master. So they both started out one way, and then once the Bible was written, it changed into something else. So again, they're just making up shit. So to make it, it's a control. This is a control technique. That's all this is. So well, yeah, let's separate these people, and then we'll turn everything against them. So what their beliefs were, all this shit. So yeah, I learned this a long time ago when I was 19, when I lived in DC. So yeah.
All right. So one last thing I was going to bring up. All right. So now that we say that all those things are just what you're saying is that all these things are people using ancient African practices and then turning them against the believers of that, or is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because now you got to remember, black people, and then you got Africans who are either Muslims or they're Christians. They don't even celebrate their own fucking tribal religion or belief system that they had. They all, whenever you go over to Africa now, you'll catch Christian churches like you catch it over here. Everybody doing the Holy Ghost, everybody's praying, trying to speak in tongues, all that shit. We have actually been disconnected from who we used to be. And that's what all this shit is for. That's why, like I said, it's an interesting topic for people who don't know, but for those of us who know, it's like, this is old news. Right?
All right. So all right. Now that we've gotten past Moloch was an ancient African tradition that is being bastardized by certain people.
Yeah,
let's get into this, the Bohemian Society.
Hi, I'm Bill Domhoff. I teach psychology and sociology at the University of California in the beautiful seaside city of Santa Cruz. What you're seeing is the Mighty Owl Shrine at a place called the Bohemian Grove, an encampment for the very rich, a playground for the powerful. And what you've just heard are the opening lines that are spoken by the high priest in an initiation ceremony that has started every encampment since 1880.
Yeah, a homosexual festival.
Again without our care and keep gray hair away.
The owl is in his leafy temple. Let all within the grove be reverent before him. For behold, here is Bohemia's shrine, and holy are the pillars of this house. Hi, I'm Bill Domhoff. I teach psychology and sociology at the University of California in the beautiful seaside city of Santa Cruz. What you're seeing is the Mighty Owl Shrine at a place called the Bohemian Grove, an encampment for the very rich, a playground for the powerful. And what you've just heard are the opening lines that are spoken by the high priest in an initiation ceremony that has started every encampment since 1880. What you're going to see in the rest of this video is the story of the power elite at its Bohemian Grove. I'm going to tell you something about the living quarters, the entertainment, the pranks, the nonsense, the political talks, and details on that opening ceremony. I'm also going to tell you something about the guests at the Bohemian Grove, including former presidents like Richard Nixon or George Bush or Ronald Reagan. Well, I am a...
Yeah, Bohemian Grove, that's another weird thing that they do. That's just like the SA before they became the SS. It's always something homoerotic involved.
Exactly right. Well, yeah, and on top, even I think it's even more than that. But let's go.
The Bohemian Grove is owned and operated by a downtown men's club in San Francisco called, appropriately enough, the Bohemian Club. That club was founded way back in 1872 by a group of young journalists, writers, and business people who wanted to get together a couple times each week to read poetry, read plays, and of course to have a lot of drinks. What you see behind me right now is the current clubhouse for the Bohemian Club. It's a 4-story building covered with ivy. If we go a little further into the clubhouse, we come to the bar room. The bar room at the Bohemian Club is called the cartoon room because the walls are decorated with large cartoon-like figures that were drawn by famous artists who visited the club down through the years. Now we see the cartoon room with some very dignified-looking gentlemen standing inside it. And if we look right in the center of the picture, we see what's a window. It looks very white. If you look closely at that window, what you'll see is the emblem of an owl. So it's not just out in the Bohemian Grove that we find owls. Owls are, in fact, everywhere for Bohemians because, lo and behold, owls are the totem animal of the Bohemian Club. We find them on the stationery. We find them on ashtrays. We find them on little pins that the men wear on their lapel.
So what do you think is the significance of this owl type of figure? You know, we also see Drake using the owl. What do you think is the significance of this owl?
It's just like the all-seeing eye. Say you come up and make something, you take something that you saw somewhere else and you make it your own and you make people revere it. Like
you know what's so crazy about the owl?
What?
That the Aj in Yoruba is represented by the bird and the owl. That's like a feminine. Birds are normally a feminine kind of a creature of like the ancient feminine primordial energy.
Yeah, but the owl was also what's her name? The Greek goddess Athena. That she had an owl. Remember Clash of the Titans, Bubo?
Yeah, but there's still a woman, right?
Yeah, Athena. Yeah, she
right.
was
So a male club with a worshiping an owl, like a feminine,
right,
deity. So
yeah, they know because even all these white folks in all these crazy positions with all this money, they know that it has to be the feminine and the masculine. The two go hand.
So even though it's a male club, they have to somehow bring women in.
They still worship. They still do all this. They know it has to be male and female. But on broader society, it's off balance. So they make sure that mass confusion. So what do? They got people saying, "Well, I'm a man. I was born male, but I want to be a female, or I was born female and I want to be a male." So that shit, like I said, these are some weird motherfuckers. That's all it is.
Well, if calling the owl the totem animal of Bohemian Grove sounds a little anthropological and tribal and prehistoric, it's meant to. Because, in fact, these men's clubs in America have much the same function as do male secret societies in pre-literate societies. And one of those functions is excluding women, making sure that women are kept out of power and increasing male solidarity. So, women are not allowed to be members of the Bohemian Club, and they're not allowed to be guests at the Bohemian Grove. And if you can believe this, they're not even allowed to come in the front door of the downtown clubhouse on the rare occasions when they're allowed to be guests. Well, I'll be coming back to talk more about the sociological significance of the Bohemian Club in just a minute. But for now, let's go back out to the Bohemian Grove and see what's happening out there. The Bohemian Grove is located on the Russian River, 75 miles north of San Francisco. It covers 2,700 acres, but only a few hundred of those acres are actually used. The Bohemian Grove is actually divided into about 120 different camps. It's like you took the fraternity row at a big university and moved it up into the redwoods. Each of these camps has a little pet name like Aviary or Sons of Toil or Druids or Mandalay or Wolf. And each of these camps also has a special drink that it offers. It has special gags that it plays upon the visitors who come to see them. The men are constantly moving around from camp to camp, talking to each other. The mythology is that all of these camps are equal, but the truth is that some of these camps are a lot more equal than others. The really big wheels are at Mandalay, where there's a former president or two, as well as former cabinet officers and many heads of major corporations. There's also a former president named Ronald Reagan at Owl's Nest, and there's a former president at Hillbillies, a man named George Bush. Summer camp at the Bohemian Grove always takes place in the last 2 weeks in July, when the weather is usually perfect. The encampment encompasses 3 weekends, and it's on the weekends that there's 1,500 to 2,000 men in the Grove. During the rest of the week, attendance can dip as low as 350 to 400. The encampment begins on a Friday night, but the big event of the first weekend is the Saturday night initiation ceremony featuring the high priest and the owl. So now I want you to kind of sit back and relax, get yourself in a mood to see how the Power Elite and their supporting cast do summer camp. I'm going to take you through that opening ceremony. It's called the cremation of care, with care meaning the burdens and responsibilities that important men supposedly must carry. It takes a...
So what do you think about this whole initiation ceremony?
I mean, just some, like I said, it's just some more weird shit that white dudes like to do. Because the owl is just it's not even an actual god. And then when you say, like, let me see, when they say it's a private men's club and out of San Francisco, first thing I think of, okay, y'all doing bathhouse fucking activities and shit. That's what y'all are doing. Yeah, they do weird shit up there. Yeah. That's why security is so tight, like they say, at the last couple of weeks of July. This is the last week in July.
That's interesting. We're doing this right around the time that this is going on.
Yeah, but it's so much going on. I don't even think there's so much going on. I don't even think Trump has been out there yet. There's so much stuff going on. He probably used to go back in the day, but they haven't been there because so much has been going on. But who knows? I haven't been paying attention to it because, like I said, it's just one of those things where it's just a bunch of weird fucking shit. But yeah, just a bunch of weird fucking shit. That's it.
But this is that's what I'm saying. Do you think they don't think they worship it? They just do this as a like, you know, a ritual. But is it really? They don't worship this. They just
they do. Yeah, they always do. They do rituals, like I said, because the Egyptians did rituals.
So they're trying to pattern themselves they're trying to create a way to seem like they're deep, but they're not really that deep.
No, they're not. And then I tell people all the time, like, I got some family members of Jehovah's Witnesses. I said, I hate to tell y'all this, but y'all not gonna see no white people if y'all go to heaven. Y'all not gonna see no white people there. They don't have souls. So, yeah.
Cast of over 250 elders, priests, torchbearers, fire tenders, and woodland voices to conduct the ceremony. So I want you to picture yourself comfortably seated in a beautiful outdoor dining hall. It's early evening, you've finished a sumptuous dinner, and you are sitting quietly with your drink. Out of the shadows on the nearby hillside, you see a line of men dressed in orange-red robes, wearing tall, pointed hats. Funeral music begins to play. You notice a few of the men are carrying an open coffin, and it contains a body. It's really an effigy, of course. It is Mr. Dullcare himself, who stands, as I said, for worries and concerns. And he's about to be sacrificed on a big bonfire. Well, as the funeral procession moves past the dining area, the rest of the men follow it down to the owl shrine by the lake and seat themselves to watch the cremation. First, a tree spirit comes out of a big redwood and sings about the beauty of the setting. And then the priest and his helpers come forward, and the priest speaks his flowery words for a few minutes. And then the body of Dolcaire is put on the bonfire. The high priest criticizes Dolcaire, calls him the archenemy of beauty. And he shouts, "Bring fire." But suddenly there's a great clap of thunder and a rush of wind. Peals of loud, ugly laughter come ringing down from a hill above the lake. A dead tree is illuminated in the middle of the hillside, and Care himself bellows forth with a thundering blast. He says, "Fools, fools, when will you learn that you cannot slay me?" And the high priest is very taken aback by this impressive outburst. And then Dolcaire tells the high priest in no uncertain terms that priestly fires are not going to do him in. "I spit upon your fire," he roars. And with that, there's a great explosion, and all the torches are immediately extinguished. And the only remaining light comes from the lamp of fellowship at the base of the owl. So the priest turns to the owl. He falls to his knees, and he lifts up his arms towards the shrine, and he asks, "O great symbol of mortal wisdom, owl of Bohemia, grant us thy counsel." And the owl's head begins to glow, and the owl actually speaks. And he says that Dolcaire is right. Fire can't kill Dolcaire, at least not an ordinary fire. The only thing that can get rid of Dolcaire is the fire from the lamp of fellowship, closeness. And of course, the priest thinks, "Why didn't I think of that?" And he runs over to the lamp of fellowship. He relights the torch, and he torches the bonfire. And an orchestra starts to play very inspirational music. Dolcaire starts to wail and scream because, of course, he's on his way out. And the chorus begins to sing, and there's fireworks that go off. And then out comes a big brass band, and they're playing "There'll Be a Hot Time in the Old Town Tonight." And the guys get up, and they begin to cheer and jump around. They whoop and they holler. They have been freed by their priest to enjoy their encampment. It's like they're back in college, and there's a big fraternity bonfire. What's going on here in this cremation of Care ceremony? Well, it's about a lot more than just excluding women. It's about excluding everybody else. It's an invitation into an in-group. It's an initiation into a very exalted kind of status. The fact that the ceremony is so spectacular tells these men that they are very special in the world. The fact that it's been done the same way since 1929, when the statue was first built, tells them the world is timeless, that tradition has made it so their place in life is very, very secure. The cremation of Care is only the beginning of the entertainment at the Bohemian Grove. There's going to be concerts, there's going to be other plays, there's going to be trap shooting, there's going to be swimming, there's going to be nature walks, and a whole lot more.
All with men, just a bunch of dudes just doing all this.
I told you that. It's headquartered out of San Francisco. And then when you say private men's club and you say San Francisco in the same sentence, that usually means a fucking bathhouse.
So they just are a bunch of dudes. Just that's interesting. So they have the whole weekend to themselves to enjoy. And then, oh Lord, not they dressing up as women. Let's go.
The second most extravagant performance at the Grove is what's called the hijinks. It's a very eloquent kind of play that tells us about the timelessness of things, and once again, and about tradition. There's also a play that's put on that's called the Low Jinks. It's a musical comedy. That play spoofs some aspect of society or spoofs the elite themselves. Sometimes those plays get to be a little bit raunchy. Since they exclude women from the Grove, men themselves have to play these parts as women. The men get quite a kick out of talking about who's going to play these various women's parts. And it's precisely in these parts, because they're kind of walk-on parts, that they're most likely to use the most prestigious men in the Bohemian Grove. Now, you might say to yourself, how do busy and important men of the kind I claim go to the Grove, how do they have time to practice for such a play? And the answer is that they don't. They aren't playing the major roles. This is one of the things that makes the Bohemian Club so unique. It has a whole set of people called associate members who are really performing members. These are artists and writers and singers and even a few professors. And they get into the club for reduced dues, and then they're the ones that play a major role in putting on this huge amount of entertainment at the Bohemian Grove. Now, this turns out to be a great deal for both the rich and the powerful and for these artistic members. On the one side, the artistic members get to be members of club that's far more elegant and higher status than they could ever belong to on their own. You get to take their friends there and to enjoy things. But they also make contacts there. One person I interviewed said to me that he made many contacts for his band to play at weddings and other kinds of ceremonies for wealthy people.
So yeah, if you want to be a part of that thing, you got to dress up as a woman, dance around, probably Lord knows what else.
Like I said, white boys are always doing some homoerotic shit in the name of a ritual. It's the same that the Masonic orders do every Friday in that one room that they have in their lodges. No women allowed, but it smells like ass in there. So
some of it.
Wait, how you know it smell like ass? You've been to it before?
I'm not a Mason, so I can't go up in there. But there are things that are known.
Right. People talk about stuff, you know.
Some people who, because sometimes you like Prince Hall, Masons, and all those other black ones or whatever. A lot of them are alcoholics. A lot of them are alcoholics. Some of them drug addict, whatever, and all this other shit, because they're holding on to something that they know they're not supposed to be holding on to. So you make it at what you will. Like I said, I'm like, man, I ain't gotta. If you was wanting to do that, you ain't gotta join a club to do it. So
I don't think it's about even that. I think it's about the access to be able to rub arms. I think they shroud it in some spiritual ritualistic thing, but the whole objective is to be able to rub arms with a millionaire or a billionaire, and to go to this event.
If that was the case, a lot of them would be wealthier, but they're not. The white ones, yeah, they are. They don't.
I don't think that are black people. I don't think that they get invited to this. You know, I think this is.
Obama's been there. He's been there.
Grove.
Yeah, he's been there. He was president. Yeah, he's been there.
Wow, crazy.
Or to sell their work to the wealthy bohemians.
Right. So they go there. So what they'll do is they'll get a lowly artist and say, okay, we'll invite you to come to be able to. It's interesting that this was started by journalists and then it turned into what it turned into.
Yeah, but I'm sure they weren't regular journalists and some other. It wasn't just journalists that came. It was just journalists were part of it, but there was some other people, social elite or whatever they call them, people who had money and stuff like that. And then they just, like I said, they just turned it into this weird shit.
Crazy.
At the Bohemian Grove. On the other side of the equation, the rich bohemians have the possibility of saying, hey, I know a lot of artists. I'm hip to what's going on in the world today. Well, once again, we stop our story to ask, what's going on here? Now, if we ask the men, they'll say they're just out for a little R&R. But if we scratch the surface, we'll find them saying, hey, it's a great place to meet new people. It's a great place to renew acquaintances. Great place to bring your son to meet the gang.
That's what I was trying to get around, is that they look, what they do is that they don't. I don't believe that elites are religious. I don't believe that they're Christian. I think they're probably mostly atheists. They believe that when they pass on, that's it. That's why they are so thirsty for power, because they know that once they pass on, there's nothing left.
No, there was a movie once with Charlton Heston, and they throw these references in all these movies. There was a movie once with Charlton Heston. I can't think of the name of it, but he was in Egypt trying to do some research, and he was trying to see if he could bring back one of the pharaohs. So he was trying to do an incantation, but it didn't. I can't think of that movie. Yeah, but sometimes you gotta watch some of these movies because it will reveal.
What the true thing is. So you think they do have a belief?
What they're trying to do.
So I did see a thing in the Epstein files, I think, where Hillary Clinton was talking about they were trying to bring back some ancient Sumerian deity or whatever, something like that.
Nah, that's a CIA.
Gilgamesh or something like that. I was like, what?
That's just them. Whenever you hear something like that, where they're trying to, that's them trying to, that's a CIA op or whatever.
Oh, they're using certain words. Okay, all right.
Or they're just throwing stuff out there because it basically keeps people busy. That's what it does.
So, right, so I'm gonna put a little bull stuff into the real things that you don't even know.
Like, yeah, oh man, here's another conspiracy we can follow and waste our time. That's what that is. So you have to be careful. Like I said, you have to be careful. You have to be
crazy.
Careful.
Wow.
It's also a great place to bring a rising executive or indeed a political protege. In other words, what's developing here is social cohesion. These men are becoming tight with each other. And I think social cohesion matters a great deal because otherwise they're just a collection of rich individuals. They don't have the ability to coordinate and have influence on government. Now, we're going to come back to that point a little later when we talk about the power structure as a whole.
So, I mean, do you think also, even with the Epstein, this was like another version of the Grove, where you have the Grove, but then you had the Epstein Island, which was a similar place as a Grove, where they had like this kind of a spiritual / whatever, but then they got to doing all, but then on this one, they invite the women, they invite the kids, they invite the people, but that one was more for the men. Then they in Florida. Now we're getting into a little bit of extra stuff, which I believe was probably even, I mean, really a big blackmail scheme from other people, like to blackmail everybody. But some of the things they were doing, I don't know.
I mean, it's like I said, because only reason I don't think it's blackmail, it could be whatever, but because when they were deposing President Clinton recently, they were showing him pictures and he was looking at the pictures smiling, and his black lawyer, a female, was sitting there trying to pull that book where, hey, don't be smiling looking at this man, we're in a deposition. He was looking at those pictures like, and the lady was like, oh my God, this dude is disgusting. So I don't think it's about blackmail, because if it is, they would have Clinton said, yeah, go ahead, I'll tell you what you want to know. So I don't think it was about blackmail. I think it was a bunch of other shit, because when you read those emails with Epstein, you find that it was all kind of shit going on. And it wasn't just about, you know what I'm saying, necessarily, granted, children being raped was a part of it, but there's a lot more of that. Yeah, the movie was called Awakening with Charlton Heston from 1980.
The Awakening, okay.
Awakening, yeah, The Awakening. That's the name of the movie. So, like I said, they throw that stuff out there for you to see. And it's like, okay, yeah, they, and also they tell you what they're going to do so that they can sidestep karma.
Okay.
If I tell you if I tell you I'm going to harm you, if I tell you, I don't have to worry about the repercussions of it per se. Yeah, this is, like I said, this is stuff that I was learning when I was 19 years old. Wasn't even ready for this shit. So, but yeah, that's basically it.
But here I just want to say to you that there is a lot of research that's been done on cohesion in small groups. And that research tells us that there are 4 key points in a group developing tight social cohesion. I want you to notice how well each of these points fits the Bohemian Grove. The first point is that if people are in close physical proximity, they develop social cohesion. And there's plenty of physical proximity at the Bohemian Grove. Secondly, the more people interact, the more they develop social cohesion. And that's all that these people are doing at the Bohemian Grove, is interacting, drinking and interacting, I should say. Thirdly, groups that are seen as very high in status are groups that develop tight social cohesion. And of course, that fits the Bohemian Grove perfectly. You don't ask to join, they ask you. The whole thing is about excluding certain people, and other people get to go to this fancy retreat. Fourth, social cohesion develops best in an atmosphere of relaxation and cooperation. And once again, that fits the Bohemian Club to a T. So if we're going to draw a little sociological lesson here, we say social cohesion is developing at the Bohemian Grove. Well, so far we've got it. There's entertainment at the Grove, and there's social cohesion at the Grove. Is there anything else? After all, these people are businessmen. 25 to 35% of the people who are there are directors and managers of major corporations, and lots of the other people are in smaller businesses as well.
That's what I was trying to explain, is that a lot of these get-togethers they try to shroud like some spiritual thing over it, but really, these people are really there to hobnob, do business with each other, and then they might get on a boat or whatever, but the whole objective is to do business, right? Just like when they do golf or anything other thing, they go to a baseball game, anything that the elites do or people that are in power do, is not just for fun.
Yeah, that's one of those.
I don't even think they even have fun. I think that everything is just a power. Like, okay, what can you do for me? What can I do for you? And I'll just hit this ball while we're doing it. So we seem like we're doing something and not because it looked. Could you imagine just people without any? If they just got to get, they have to like do that to like not seem like it's something nefarious.
But I mean, everybody knows it's nefarious. I mean, but it's like golfing. Golfing ain't the only place that they do that. They also do it in strip clubs. Strip clubs used to be known for having business deals done, and particularly what was that place called? Scores in New York, where they serve steak. Yeah, there was places like that in Vegas where you go to a strip club, you could get a good steak, and you could talk about stuff and get a business deal done. But it's like all that is just special access. That's like a special access division of where it's like, okay, well, we got this technology and I got something that I'm working on. Can I have access to that? That type.
Right, but they pretend like they're actually,
they're not pretending.
Watching the women, but they really.
They're not pretending. They're not pretending. That's what it is. They're not pretending about anything. They're like, yeah, Y'all know what we doing. We told you what we do so that we can side skirt karma.
So don't they talk business while they're there at the Bohemian Grove? Aren't they cutting deals? Well, yeah, sort of. But what we have to remember is they've had a lot to drink, and they couldn't remember the details of a deal if they had to. What's going on is something else. A very wealthy man who had read my book on the Bohemian Grove once said to me, I was at that Bohemian Grove as a guest a couple years ago, and he said, I want you to know I didn't talk business once while I was up there. And he paused, and he says to me, but I did make some great appointments for later. It led to some wonderful deals. And then, of course, he had a big laugh. Now, probably isn't much business then going on up there, but they do write this trip off as a business expense. And I have one memo purloined from a wonderful student from a file where a corporate lawyer details for his firm all the people he's had as guests at the Grove in the last few years, and why he therefore should be able to continue to deduct 1/3 of his expenses when he goes to the Bohemian Grove from his taxes, or be paid back by the firm as a business expense. In other words, we don't call these people a corporate rich for nothing. These people live off the corporation as much as they live off of their own salaries. Well, if there's not much business going on up there, there is a lot of politicking going on. And that politicking takes place primarily around what are called the lakeside talks, where the speaker stands on a podium that looks with his back to the lake, looking out towards the men that are sitting on the bank. And each afternoon, there's one of these talks. During the week, the talk might be by an artist, it might be by a professor, it might be by a business person. The talks vary a great deal in their substance. One year, they had an astronaut speak, for example, and telling how it was to be way up there. But on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the talks get heavier. They're more likely, much more likely, to be about politics. And they'll involve some of the most important people in the world giving the talk. The Prime Minister of Germany, Prime Minister of France, former President of Mexico in 1992 spoke on the importance of passing NAFTA. There's also presidents and former presidents and future presidents that have spoken at the Bohemian Grove. And the first example I want to give you involves General Dwight D. Eisenhower in 1950. And this example is told to us by Richard Nixon, who was to be Ike's vice president just 2 years later, in his autobiography. And the story goes as follows. Later that day, Eisenhower spoke at the beautiful Lakeside Amphitheater. It was not a polished speech, says Nixon, but he delivered it without notes, and he had the good sense not to speak too long. The only line that drew significant applause was his comment that he did not see why anyone who refused to sign a loyalty oath should have the right to teach in a state university. After his speech, we went back to caveman camp and sat around the campfire appraising it. And of course, right there, you see one of the functions of the Bohemian Grove. Well, it was a lakeside talk in 1967 that was enormously important to Nixon himself in his bid for the presidency. He says his speech at the Grove was the start of his comeback. And once again, I'm quoting Nixon. If I were to choose the speech that gave me the most pleasure and satisfaction in my political life, wrote Nixon, it would be my lakeside speech at the Bohemian Grove. Because this speech traditionally was off the record, it received no publicity at the time. But in many ways, it marked the first milestone on my road to the presidency. It gave me an unparalleled opportunity to reach some of the most important and influential men, not just from California, but from across the country.
What do you think about that?
Nixon was a fucking weirdo. A lot of people didn't like him.
Well, he was a, yeah.
He was an insecure man. He was an insecure man, and that's why he did the same shit that Trump is doing now. He was attempting to do that, but he got caught. The Watergate thing, all that, yeah. Student of history.
Wow.
So yeah, that's what that's all about. So same thing's probably gonna happen to Trump.
So this whole partisan aspect,
politics, but there's been no Democratic president who's been a member or a guest.
There's been no Democratic president that has been a part of like any of that.
Clinton has been there.
At the Bohemian Grove. There are a few Bohemians who have served in the cabinets of Democratic presidents, and there have been a few members of Democratic administrations that have gone to the Grove to give
This is a little
talks.
older, so.
But by and large, the members are Republicans. Of those who give money to campaigns, 95% of them give to Republicans, and on average, they give twice as much as the Democratic members give. Oh my goodness, does that mean the Democrats really are the party of liberals and minorities and low-income people? That they really are the party of the common person? Nope, sorry, at least not yet. They're the party of the fringe groups within the power elite. Historically, that means plantation elites in the South, and today, of course, that means big business people and agribusiness people in the South, from states like Georgia, where Jimmy Carter is from, or Arkansas, where Bill Clinton is from, or Texas, where Lyndon Johnson was from. But the party's also supported by the non-Protestant rich in the North, the kinds of people that are excluded by the waspy people that go to the Bohemian Grove. Well, that just about ends our saga of the Bohemian Grove, but I don't want to conclude without giving you that larger picture that I talked about a little bit earlier. I don't want to leave you with the impression that the Bohemian Grove is at the heart of the power elite. Instead, I want to say to you that we can use our study of the Bohemian Grove to reach out to study other social clubs, because these men, these Bohemians on average, are in 3 or 4 other social clubs. So it's very easy for us then to figure out the nationwide social networks of big business clubs. But we don't stop just there. We also add policy planning groups, organizations where business people join with experts to discuss the issues of the day and to plan what they want to do in reaction to those issues. These are organizations like the Committee for Economic Development and the Conference Board and the Business Council and the Business Roundtable and the Council on Foreign Relations. And what we do is we take all of the interlocking members, we call them interlocking overlappers for short, and we put them into our computer and we mush them all around with very sophisticated statistical techniques that I really don't quite understand myself. And when we're done, we have what's called a centrality score. That is that the more that a group is in the center of the power structure, the higher its score is. The more its score approaches 100, the more central it is. And when we do that study, we find that the Bohemian Club is low only number 11 in our power structure, as you're now going to see on the screen. 3 other clubs were more central. The Lynx Club of New York at number 3, the Pacific Union Club of San Francisco at number 7, and the Chicago Club of Chicago at number 8. But notice what's right up there at the top. Policy discussion groups like the Business Council with a score of 95, and the Committee for Economic Development at 91. Far more central than any other club or group. That's the heart of the American power elite. And those organizations in turn tie to hundreds of major corporations. And it's right here that we can reinforce another role that's played by a place like the Bohemian Grove with another finding from small group research on social psychology. Because that research shows that socially cohesive groups are the ones in which members are more likely to pay attention to the opinions of other members and more likely to change their opinions to those of the rest of the group. In other words, my key point is that social cohesion is one of the things that makes policy cohesion possible. It's not just enough to say that these people are all business people. They're in different businesses. They live in different parts of the country. They may not trust each other. Social cohesion is one of the things that makes them possible. Makes it possible for them to talk about policies in these organizations like the Committee for Economic Development and the Council on Foreign Relations.
So like I said, the main thing I'm trying to get across is what I feel is that you see a bunch of elites getting together and they try to do this pomp and circumstance like they believe in like this spiritual thing, but the whole objective is for people to get together, do business. All this Epstein stuff, I believe, was also to get together and do business. And then I guess at the same time, like do all kind of weird other shit too. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, it's always a bunch of weird shit.
But everything there. So I don't. So the religion of the elites is power. people go to church to worship Jesus. They go to these bohemian and all these different events to hobnob with each other. And
right. I don't call them elites. I call them white supremacists because that's ultimately what it comes down to. So I don't call them all that. I don't give them all those names. They make it seem like, well, we're just good, benevolent people. No, you're not. So you got to deal with all that. But I'm like, yeah.
If these are white supremacist group, how would a Barack Obama go to the Bohemian Grove? That was a white supremacist.
You know what? I'll take that back. He hasn't. Yeah, that's right. He's a Democrat, so he's never been. Him or Clinton have stated that they've never been, and most of the people who have been, the majority of them are dead. So the Bohemian Grove probably ain't even a thing anymore.
So what do you think is the difference between the Epstein Island and the Bohemian Grove?
Epstein Island. The Epstein Island. So a lot of black celebrities went to Epstein Island. That doesn't mean that they were into the kids, but they said I think somebody corroborated the fact that there's a room, wall-to-wall TV screens with cameras in bathrooms and rooms and stuff like that. So there was a surveillance. That was a place to surveil and black. Yeah, they probably.
Like, get all the powerful elite to think that they were going to a cool place.
That's not what that was for. That was for celebrities. That's what that's for. Because if you're a president, you already know what's going on. So that was for celebrities. That's to keep celebrities, because Epstein's a Jew, and all those people that's Hollywood too. Yeah, so that's fucking Hollywood. That was probably to catch celebrities, but they already know who's who. They already know who's who.
Wow. I wonder why the people at the top, the real top, don't stop at money or fame. It's because once they had it all, they become numb. So what do they chase next? Power, danger, rituals. These rituals are ancient. They believe it gives them access to energy, to us. Epstein wasn't just a trafficker. He was a gatekeeper to these dark circles. What you're seeing with the files is surface level, a ritual of disclosure, time to distract. But why don't they get punished? Because they think they're gods, that they can do whatever they want without consequences, and honestly, they can, until enough of us remember that we're gods too. When the people of light unite, no rituals can hide the truth. Watch closely, they're exposed, but they're counting on you to look away.
I wouldn't call myself a god, because God backwards is dog. So no. We have to think past all that shit. So yeah. I ain't into Jesus. I ain't into none of that. That's your thing. That's your thing. But nah.
Right. So what do you think about this? Let's go.
I've been in this industry a long time. I've seen things. The real elite, the ones at the very top, they don't just play power games. They worship something much darker. They worship the devil. I've been to those parties. I've heard the rituals, seen the symbols. It's not metaphor. It's real. They sell their souls for fame. And
do you really think that's even true? That the rich people really sell their soul?
No, man.
I don't think they have to sell their souls. I think they already. Come on now.
That's. Remember, everything. They want you to believe that everything, but then again, that's about vanity. Hollywood is about vanity. That's all that is. So anytime that you want to be in the people's eye, or you want to be famous, or you want all that, that's something that has to come with it. That's how I look at that. That's why I would never want to be a celebrity, because you got to give up certain, now if you want to be well known and loved and famous.
And then they give you a time frame, and when that time is up, it's over with.
Yeah. So that's because most people, if you want to be a celebrity, ultimately there's something wrong with you. To an extent, there's something wrong with you to want to be famous. There's something wrong with you. Yeah. And just like when we looked at the whole Diddy situation with Cassie, right? Some of the shit that she was doing, and then some of the rest of them were doing, yeah, all that whole orbit. There's something wrong there. When you think about it, there's something wrong with these people.
For sure. So I wanted to show this last thing with Bobby Hemmett, get your idea on that, and then we're gonna wrap this up. But I thank you for being here with me during this show. I think it was interesting. Let's go.
Operation to get you riled up and angry for two reasons. Number one is mind control. Number one, they can get you riled up and angry because they got something going on major over here, and they're trying to doggone distract your attention over here. So they even tell you when you're supposed to get mad. And what the fuck you do? You go running down the fucking street marching and shit. What an idiot people marching in 2000. We are definitely a savage people. Let's not be funny with this mess. You are world-class people, done went through hell and back, and you gonna march in 2000? So they'll go and they'll shoot the aloe 45 times or whatever. You get all mad. You see what I'm saying? This whole shit goes down during the fall equinox on into the winter solstice when you're supposed to be tapping in the energy. So they got cardinal points that they can shut you down based on you being all mad at the wrong shit. This is science.
What's your thoughts on that? And let's give our final thoughts, and we're gonna wrap this up.
Oh shit, I'm a fan of OG Bobby Hemmett. What you talking about? What's the OG? I mean, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't like hearing what he got to say, but you know what I'm saying? But he's spot on with all that. So yeah, I've always listened to him. But then I knew Steve Coakley. I met him. I used to go to some of his lectures. I think I only came across Bobby Hemmett one time. But I've also met Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben, Dr. Africa. I met all those greats. Leonard Jeffries, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, all those guys. So I listen to, for me, I listen to fucking Bobby Hemmett all the time. That's like one of my things. So yeah, as I've gotten older, like I said, a lot of shit don't even affect me like that no more because, like Bobby Hemmett said, it's pointless. Why get riled up, like you said? So
exactly.
So yeah.
And I didn't know that he passed away.
He did?
They say rest in peace. I'm like, oh, did he pass away?
Well, he kept it mysterious. I know you'd have to be in Atlanta to catch up with him because that's where he was from. So he did most of that work down there, but damn, that's crazy if he gone. Shit.
Man, I didn't know he was gone. That's terrible.
Me neither. Like I said, he kept it moving for sure. He kept it moving, but like I said, he revealed, he tells you a lot too, references and all that. He's got a wealth of knowledge in all his lectures, wealth of knowledge. So, man, that's crazy.
I didn't even.
Yeah. So
is he even passed away? Well, I need to figure out if that's true or not. I'm like, what?
Yeah, you track down some of his people, so hopefully somebody can verify that or whatever. But yeah, that's crazy. That is.
Well, I want to play a little bit more. One last thing about because I think that it's important. If he did pass away, to
right.
Yeah. Let me just say, out of respect, I didn't even know he might have been passed away. I was like, I thought he just might have been a little sick or whatever, older, and just retired, But we're gonna play this last thing and then we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you for being here, Mosi. This was a great live stream. Much love, and let's hear some last words with Bobby Hemmett, where he breaks down the whole aspect of material things and that they don't matter. Because the whole thing about this whole thing is that when we talk about the elites, right, they get us locked up into this whole system of trying to strive to become like them, right?
Right.
They get us locked into this whole contract of like trying to become more successful, get more things, get more money, get more this, have more clothes, get more this, buy more this, right? Buy. And then all we're doing is putting all this and funneling our money back into their hands. And the whole objective is to keep us more enslaved, because the more you have to put things on credit and all these different things, all this is all feeding into this larger system that doesn't even serve you at all. So let's get into it.
So many words. This thing is talking about egos. It's talking about ourselves. The other thing that clutters up and keeps things locked in is this. Like I said, I had a brother that moved all his shit, got through at his apartment, and I had a little sunroom on my house. It's like a porch, but it's a sunroom because it got the windows and stuff. It's equivalent to a front porch, but it's on the side of the house. And I took all of his stuff and put it in the sunroom. And because this is the brother that turned me on to consciousness, I decided years ago, to keep his stuff for 4 years. I don't know. And so in the feng shui, what happened was the room that all the stuff in, because it was blocked and cluttered, the more rooms you have cleaned out, the more prosperity comes to you. Because we didn't have that room cleaned out, it was almost like not having a room on the house at all, because everything down here is a living and breathing essence, an inanimate organism. You see what I'm saying? Include an inanimate object. Even inanimate objects are living things. So therefore, when we cleaned out the room, more prosperity started coming. That's the whole concept of opening the way and cleaning out your house and cleaning up things. And basically, the first thing to do to get this prosperity and to open this shit up, because it also has something to do with your own essence, is this. You got to start throwing shit away. We keep a lot of shit that we don't need. So my queen now, my goddess now, she's famous for going to motherfucker house and throwing shit away. She said, motherfucker mad at me because I go in their house and everything, I throw it in the trash can. I'm like, well, goddamn. And so the last year that I've been with her, year and a half, it's been these words. Where the fuck is this shit? Where's my shit? Where's this? Where's that? I threw that damn shit away. I said, this motherfucker crazy. But it was the spirit when I'm saying, this shit here, you don't need that shit. A lot of shit we got, we don't need. And as a result, the energy that's coming to us, and it's even down to the health level, the prosperity level, and even the spiritual level. If you throw the shit away and you get more and more space you get, the more and more you get spiritual. You got to throw shit away. Get to the minimum of what you need, or the minimal level of things in your house, because you say, well, what does this got to do with spirit? Those things are still material. And the more material you have, the more you block the spirit. So you got to throw a bunch of shit away. Tons and tons of things. So the last year has been going through shit to say, do I really need to? I didn't have to do it. The motherfucker did it for me. My woman, I could where the shit is. You know what I'm saying? Throwing the stuff away. You see, and that's one of the keys to this particular thing. Y'all all right? Yes.
Hoarding stuff. We all hoard things. That was a beautiful message from Dr. Bobby Hemmett. Much love and respect to him. Once again, I thank you guys for being here. This is Alchemizing Energy. And I just say, I hope that you guys got something from this. We went over a lot of different things. We learned some things, you know, and Mosi is like, it's all bullshit. All these people, they're doing something, you know, and they really ain't doing nothing.
I mean, yeah, like I said, yeah, it's just like I said, they just, somebody told me once, man, all they did was take it from you, redo it, and then sold it back to us. So, you know what I'm saying? That's just me. But
right.
Everybody, hey, I'm taking my old ass to bed. So.
All right. Much love. Thank you so much. Peace, guys.
You're welcome. Had a good time.
All right.
Just when I thought I couldn't find my way out, yeah, I searched the God in me to find my way out. I know it can seem way out, but the Creator flows to and through me from way out. I'm talking way out, yeah, yeah, yeah. See if you believe in the God in you.